It's the 1930s, and glitz and glamour are all the rage. That magical land of make-believe known as Hollywood is churning out young ingenues, demure starlets, and femme fatales right and left. It is the golden age of cinema, and sequins and feathers rule supreme, and any actress who values her career dare not be seen in public without being dressed to kill from head to toe. It is a time when women are considered the fairer sex, the weaker sex, the sexier sex. It is a time when men wear the pants and rule the realm of Hollywood. The men of the Big Five, the major movie studios, RKO Radio Pictures, 20th Century Fox, Paramount Pictures, Warner Brothers, and Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer hold court in smoke-filled corner offices, movie lots, and sound stages. They make the movies, they make the money, and they make or break the stars. Then along comes a woman, a different kind of woman, a no-nonsense woman who insists on wearing pants. She wears pants on the screen. She wears pants off the screen. She wears pants anytime and anywhere she pleases in an era when only men are allowed to wear the pants, because everyone knows that pants are the gateway drug to female depravity. This woman's very existence challenges the status quo and upsets the natural order of things. This woman frustrates the men in pants so much that one day they took away her pants. So she walked around in her underwear until she got her pants back. Now, this woman wears the pants in Hollywood.
It's time to release. No more fear. No more fear. Surrender in her. Trust you won't fall. Time to fly. Time to fly.
Hello, and welcome to the Aquitaine Project, a podcast all about learning from yesterday, how we can shine today and create a brighter tomorrow. I'm Marlo Mead, your host, guide, and fellow traveler on a journey where together we draw upon the lessons, wisdom, and experiences of women past and present, women I affectionately call my Bright Lighters. In each episode, I'll bring to light their stories, voices, and legacies, inspiring each of us to become Bright Lighters in our own right. For me, these women transcend time, teaching us lessons we can use in our own lives each and every day, shining their light from different centuries, cultures, and corners of the earth. They light the way, making it possible for each of us to create our own light and shine it forward. So, if you're ready to step into the light of some pretty remarkable women and learn a little, grow a little, laugh a little, and shine a lot, stick around.
Free your soul.
This is going to be a fun one, everybody. I get to tell you about one of my all-time favorite women who, it just so happened, portrayed another of my all-time favorite women in one of my all-time favorite movies. Wow, that's a lot of favorites for one podcast episode. This woman who made a living pretending to be other people, yet never pretended to be anyone other than herself is, yep, you guessed it, one of my all-time favorite Bright Lighters. And while this episode is not about her pants, pants have become one of her most famous hallmarks. her badge of honor, claiming to the world, "I refuse to be anyone but myself. You can take it or leave it." Well, the world took it, and she in turn took the world by storm. But back to the pants for just a minute. Did you know in the 18 and early 1900s, women were prohibited from wearing pants? Yep, that's right. Pants were an illegal wardrobe option for women, and any woman wearing pants in public was marked as a lesbian and could be arrested or jailed for masquerading as a man. In fact, Vogue magazine first featured women in pants in 1939. Strike a pose, ladies. In the real world, and especially in Hollywood, being yourself is one of the hardest things to do, especially for a woman. Back in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, actresses were contractually obligated to be glamorous. The makeup, the hair, the dress, the shoes were all strategic marketing assets. Not much has changed, really, has it? Then along came Kate. Much like the famous medieval queen Eleanor of Aquitaine, who she once portrayed, this strong, spirited, independent Brightlighter built a career and a life on her own terms and has much to teach us about living life as our true selves. Katharine Hepburn was born May 12, 1907, in Hartford, Connecticut, to a mother who was a well-known suffrage activist and a father who was a prominent physician passionate about sexual health education. As a child, she was encouraged to speak her mind and express herself. She adored her older brother Tom, and at the age of 9, she had her head shaved and would dress up in Tom's clothes, following him everywhere. An actress in the making, Katharine developed an alter ego named Jimmy because she felt boys had more fun than girls. But inside, she was always Katharine. When she was a young teenager, her life was turned upside down with the tragic suicide of her beloved big brother. For years, she withdrew into herself, shutting out everyone around her. For a while, she even adopted Tom's birthday, November 8th, as her own. Fortunately, for filmgoers everywhere, and for me personally, Katharine Hepburn overcame this awful childhood tragedy and became one of the most enduring legends in cinema history. During her 66-year career, she earned 12 Academy Award nominations and won an unprecedented 4 Best Actress Oscars, a record she still holds today. In a world where being somebody else was her job, she was one of a kind. In college, she discovered her love for acting and planned on making it a career. After graduating in 1928 with a degree in history, just one more reason why I love this woman, she spent the next several years acting in plays in and around New York, appearing in productions on and off Broadway. Her father was disgusted and heartsick over the fact that she wanted to become an actress, and he thought the profession was silly and closely akin to street walking. But the daughter he raised to be outspoken and fearless refused to let even her father dissuade her from what she wanted to do. She got her big break when an RKO Radio Pictures talent scout spotted her in a Broadway play and offered her an audition. She got the part, and the rest, as they say, is history. Known to the movie world as Kate, she was sometimes described as too masculine or too rough. She was difficult to cast opposite the leading men of the day because love scenes didn't come naturally to her. She always thought that to play a love scene with a man involved standing up straight and talking to him strong, eye to eye. Kate wasn't someone you could easily mold or control. She refused to play the traditional off-screen role of the Hollywood starlet, choosing not to wear makeup, give interviews, or bask in the glow of media attention. She shunned the Hollywood publicity machine and refused to conform to society's expectations of women, famously wearing trousers before they were fashionably acceptable. Headstrong, independent, spirited, and outspoken, as the reigning queen of Hollywood, she developed a screen persona that drew inspiration from her public image, regularly portraying intelligent, strong-willed women, another one of her famous hallmarks. As part of a generation of post-suffrage women, her characters connected with the growing spirit of female modernism and independence. Legend has it, when the costume department at RKO stole her slacks because they found slacks to be uncouth and boyish, Kate walked around the studio in her underwear, refusing to put on clothes until she got her pants back. "If you obey all the rules," she said, "you miss all the fun." As her stardom grew, she continued to flee media attention and fame for most of her life. Katharine Hepburn approached her career the same way she approached dressing, with a no-nonsense, I can do whatever the frack I want attitude. Because if you always do what interests you, at least one person is pleased, she once noted, and she was nothing if not interesting. Her life, just like her career, is legendary, and it would take me an entire podcast season to recount all of her professional and personal successes and failures, the ins and outs of her love life. Everyone knows about the famous on- and off-screen romance between Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy that lasted over 20 years. They made 9 movies together. In her later career, in which she was probably the most successful, she matched wits and toughness with the likes of Humphrey Bogart, Peter O'Toole, John Wayne, and Henry Fonda. Pretty fair company, I'd say. Her unapologetic yet at times self-deprecating sense of herself as an actress and as a person, in my opinion, is one of the most endearing things about her. There is so much to talk about. In a 1981 interview with Barbara Walters, Kate stated, "I put on pants 50 years ago and declared a sort of middle road." She reportedly owned over 30 pair of custom-made tan slacks. Wow, that is dedication to your signature style for sure. I know, I keep going on about the pants, but you have to understand that if one is to speak about Katharine Hepburn, one must speak about her trousers. Over 100 years have passed since Katharine Hepburn was born, and it's still remarkable how her decision to wear pants still sets her apart from her Hollywood peers. At the conclusion of All About Me, her 1994 self-narrated television biography, she said, "In some ways, I've lived my life as a man, made my own decisions. I've been as terrified as the next person, but you've got to keep a-going. You got to dream." In typical Katharine Hepburn style, she faced the camera and at the age of 85 acknowledged how close she had to be to the end of her life. "I have no fear of death," she said. "Must be wonderful, like a long sleep. But let's face it, it's how you live that really counts." She continued acting, albeit infrequently, until 1994. In 1999, the American Film Institute ranked her the top American screen legend of all time. I would agree with that. Katharine Hepburn, my favorite actress, died in her home in Old Saybrook, Connecticut on June 29, 2003, at the age of 96. She was never one to shy away from taking risks, personally or professionally. She was most definitely never afraid to be her true self. So, in the immortal words of Kate the Great, be yourself. It's a hard act to follow. With all due respect, Kate, being yourself may be a hard act to follow, but sometimes it's even harder to figure out who you really are. Over the years, we have been bombarded with the idea of being our true, authentic, real selves and becoming more self-aware. Discovering who we are at our core is in high fashion. But what does that really mean? Well, there are scores of personality tests that will be happy to help you figure yourself out. Some of the more popular ones include DISC, built on the 4 primary emotions identified by William Moulton Marston: dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. Conscientiousness. Say that 3 times fast. The Big 5 personality test helps you explore your personality type using the 5-factor model that looks at your openness, conscientiousness, there's that word again, agreeableness, extroversion, and neuroticism. Color code divides personality into 4 colors: red, motivated by power; blue, motivated by intimacy; White, motivated by peace, and yellow, motivated by fun. I am definitely a blue, white, yellow person. 16 personalities, reportedly one of the most accurate personality tests out there, considers 5 key aspects in order to define your personality type: mind, energy, nature, tactics, and identity. And then there's the granddaddy, or should I say grandmama, of all personality tests, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or MBTI, which was conceived and constructed by mother and daughter team Katharine Cook Briggs and Isabel Briggs Myers. Briggs and Myers began their research into personalities in 1917. Although they were not qualified psychologists, they expanded their work based on the English translation of Carl Jung's book, Psychological Types, published in 1923. The MBTI is probably one of the most widely used personality tests you can take. Based on over 70 years of research, it provides you with a detailed breakdown of your personality. Everything you want to know about you is in this test, making it easier to understand how this affects your approach to your well-being, career, and relationships. But let's keep in mind, the MBTI has not changed in over 70 years. I'll admit, taking personality tests can be very interesting and sometimes insightful. I've certainly taken my fair share of them. But what do these tests really tell us about ourselves that we don't already know? Sure, being armed with this self-knowledge is a good thing, but that knowledge does not mitigate the fact that one of the biggest risks we take in this life is being ourselves. Think about it. There may be people in our lives who have fully bought into the idea that acting, looking, or thinking a certain way is all that matters. And if you start showing your true colors, your true self, looking the way you want, thinking for yourself, declaring your own opinions, these people may treat you differently. But if you have to hide who you really are around the people that you know, you can end up feeling lost or lonely or even feeling shame because you, YOU, are basically telling yourself that who you really are isn't okay, isn't good enough. It takes incredible confidence and courage to say to the world, "World, here I am. I'm not perfect, but I'm perfectly me." When we were kids, being ourselves just came naturally, right? As a kid, I loved to dance, climb trees, read books while in trees, which was one of my favorite pastimes, and go exploring. I really was a tomboy. I sold lemonade on hot summer days and never made a profit because I was more concerned about making people feel good than making money. I adopted every stray animal that followed me home. I had a big imagination and I dreamed a lot. I worked hard in school and excelled in history and creative writing. Surprise, surprise. I was outgoing, still am, yet loved being alone at times, still do. And as a teenager, my rebellious nature kicked in, and I would argue to the death about the double standards put in place around curfew. My younger brother always got away with staying out late because he was a boy and I was a girl. And I'll admit, it was not beyond me to sneak out of my bedroom window to meet up with friends on occasion. All in all, I would consider my younger self to be a nice girl with a soft heart and an adventurous spirit and a healthy dose of confidence. Boy, I really like her. Then, all of a sudden, the world comes knocking, telling you, you're too soft, you're too nice, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you trust too easily, you wear too much makeup, you don't wear enough makeup, your hair's too long, your hair's too short, you think you're so smart, you're not that smart, you're stuck up. And my personal favorite, you don't act black enough. And countless other hogwash that we internalize and accept as truth in order to make the people around us more comfortable with their ideas of who we are, a version of ourselves that suits them, not us. It's no wonder by the time we go out in the world, go to college or get a job and get married, that we have become adept at playing versions of ourselves. So many roles put upon us by other people. Hiding things about ourselves people have told us are unattractive or uncomfortable or silly or stupid. The struggle to be ourselves in a world that tells us ourself is not good enough is real, sisters. One of my favorite Oprah Winfrey quotes sums up my feeling on the matter beautifully. Don't be confused between what people say you are and who you know you are. I say believing and knowing who you are is a powerful thing. This is exactly why I have always admired Katharine Hepburn the person, even more so than Katharine Hepburn the actress. For better or for worse, Kate Hepburn lived a life that was uncompromisingly Kate. This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow, as the night, the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. There's more to it, but you get the point. If you don't get the point, pick up your copy of Hamlet and have at it. It seems to me this much-used quote begs the question, how do we stay true to ourselves when our daily lives are filled with trying to meet other people's expectations? Society has kind of hardwired us to want to be accepted, to be liked, to fit in. Humans are by and large social creatures. Oftentimes we play by the rules out of fear of rejection, so we project to the world what it wants to see, not our true reflection, not who we really are. So how do we get past it all and learn how to just be ourselves, to celebrate our uniqueness, to express ourselves and be happy with who we are? For some of us, it means learning to love ourselves, warts and all. For some of us, it's about not hiding who we really are, or refusing to change things about ourselves just to fit in. Rather than letting fear, doubt, or shame, or other people drive our self-expression, we need to take responsibility for discovering, defining, and embracing who we truly are. And always keep in mind, we are all born with our own unique DNA, our own unique fingerprints, and unique faces. Why should our personality be any different? Here are a few ideas that might help us become more comfortable in our own skin and be our authentic, beautiful selves. 1. Define or redefine yourself. Our number one goal should be to know, understand, and accept ourselves completely. It's worth taking the time to contemplate your life choices. What makes you happy? What don't or do you like? Maybe you want to do something simple like change your hair color. I do it all the time. Or something a little riskier like change jobs or, heck, change careers. Sometimes figuring out who we are is kind of like putting on and taking off different clothes. We just know what feels right. And we all know by now what felt right to Katharine Hepburn was, say it with me now, pants. Number 2, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this a time or two in previous episodes, but those limiting beliefs and perceptions have got to go. It's impossible, I mean impossible, to be yourself when you're constantly wondering what other people think of you. Do they like me? Do they think I'm fat? Do they think I'm smart? Do they think I'm pretty? To be yourself, you can't go around wearing different masks for different people or in different situations. You're just going to confuse yourself. Believe me, you can be your authentic self without being rude and self-indulgent. It's your perception of you that matters much more than how others see you. If there are things about yourself you don't like, be honest with yourself and work to change them. Constantly being self-critical and beating yourself up or comparing yourself to others is a really good way to lose the real you forever. Okay, we figured out who we are. We've kicked our self-critic to the curb. Now, number 3, develop your authentic self, then have a good laugh. Work on developing and fine-tuning and expressing your true self. Whether it's your sense of style, the way you speak, or how you feel about certain things, work on developing the courage to be you, especially if your way of doing, being, or acting sets you apart from the crowd. Your power, my bright lighters, is in letting your true personality shine through. But don't take yourself too seriously. Learn to laugh at yourself, at all your goofy quirks and silly or embarrassing situations you might find yourself in. Get comfortable with yourself, then everyone else will fall in line. Or they won't. That's okay too. And number 4, the most important tip of them all: believe in you. Believe in who you truly are. Here's a question for you. If you had to spend the day with yourself, which you would you spend it with? For me, I'd spend it with that kind-hearted, adventurous tomboy who loves making people happy, who brings home all the stray animals, loves dancing and reading books and trees. Now, go work on the best version of you. Believe in this you, and you will always know who you are. Katharine Hepburn is in no way a conventional bright lighter. Considered one of the most iconic women of the 20th century, her influence extended far beyond the silver screen. There is no doubt her incredible screen and stage career, which spanned over 6 decades, speaks to her enduring legacy as a Hollywood star. Her work has garnered countless awards and accolades. She's been recognized on just about every top actors list imaginable. Not bad for someone who was once considered untalented, shrill, and box office poison. Awards and accolades aside, Kate Hepburn broke the mold for all the women who came after her in Hollywood. In true bright lighter fashion, she ushered in a new breed of independent, strong-willed women to the screen. Her presence within classical Hollywood was much like a disturbance in the force. 4 of her movies, The African Queen, The Philadelphia Story, Bringing Up Baby, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, are featured on the American Film Institute list of the 100 greatest American films of all time. Her indomitable spirit left its mark on and off the screen. Her bright lighter star fame was not contained just to Hollywood screen sets or Broadway stages. In addition to being a superstar of the first magnitude, Katharine Hepburn is also considered by many to be an important and influential cultural figure. Encyclopedia Britannica has her listed as one of the 300 women who changed the world. She is noted in Ladies' Home Journal's book, 100 Most Important Women of the 20th Century, and in Variety magazine's 100 Icons of the Century. She also ranks 84th on VH1's list of the 200 greatest pop culture icons of all time. You go, Kate. To say Kate was ahead of her time is an understatement. On and off the screen, she came to symbolize the modern woman. Confident, intelligent, witty, and unafraid to be herself. She defied convention in just about every aspect of her life. She refused to wear makeup and dress in the Hollywood style. Her forward-leading fashion sense made her a fashion icon as well. She pioneered women wearing trousers at a time when it was radically inappropriate. She had a deep love affair with a married man that lasted over 20 years. She took control of her career and successfully redefined herself when everyone in Hollywood thought she was all washed up. She earned the respect of her peers and the public by staying true to who she was personally and professionally. She was not always liked, which went against the very fabric of the industry she dominated for so many years. But she stuck to her guns and brought the world a new kind of heroine. Katharine Hepburn never conformed to the traditional star image, but there is no doubt that she was a superstar in movies, on stage, and on television. A strong-minded, independent woman, she lived her life and her career to suit herself, refusing to compromise her belief in who she was. So, in honor of this radically independent bright lighter who believed playing herself was her most famous role, let's learn from Kate the Great and challenge ourselves to define, embrace, and show the world who we truly are. Why I absolutely love this woman. In her very first TV interview on The Dick Cavett Show in 1973, Katharine Hepburn declared to the world with a straight face, Cold sober, I find myself absolutely fascinating immediately after she bust out in a fit of laughter. Confident, cocky, some would say, a brilliant actress and a fiercely independent woman, my love for her goes on and on and on. In my favorite three Katharine Hepburn movies, The African Queen, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and A Lion in Winter, she displays both the strengths and vulnerabilities of being a woman, not just an actress on the screen playing the part of a woman. She infused each character she played with her distinct style and personality, seamlessly blending the lines between Kate the actress and Kate the individual. Whenever I watch her movies, she appeared in 52 movies between 1928 and 1994. I always feel that what you see on screen is exactly what you'd get if you met her on the street or in a restaurant. She was always unabashedly herself. I was talking with a few younger members of my family about her recently, and I was surprised to hear how much they really love her movies. For them, it was her energy on the screen and her natural wit and conversational style of humor that appealed to them most. I love that even the newest generation of moviegoers can still appreciate the qualities that made her so unique. But I suppose what I love most about Katharine Hepburn is the way she approached her work and her life. She did not apologize for who she was. She worked hard to achieve her success, and she did not require anyone's approval. For me, the great appeal of Kate was in her attitude of self-reliance and her disregard for the need of external validation. When you know who you are, you know who you are. One of my favorite recollections of hers is the time she was being chased by fans for an autograph. "Beat it," she said. "Go sit on a tack." "We made you," they said. "Like hell you did," she told them. Classic Kate the Great. Katharine Hepburn is my all-time bright-lighter who reminds me there is great power and freedom in being myself, and a lot to be said for shining bright. To learn more about the one and only Katharine Hepburn, visit the Aquitaine Project podcast website. Click on her picture and check out her episode page. There you'll find links to resources about her amazing life on the screen and off the screen. Her famous interview with Dick Cavett, a must-watch for old and new Kate Hepburn fans, as well as resources to help you discover and embrace your true self. Until next time, my bright lighters, shine bright like the star you are.